Naomi looks like she's just in a great happy space, feeling good.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's cold. It's really cold.
Oh, wow. Well, it's January, it's supposed to be cold, right?
Yeah.
So here we are, 2025. Isn't that amazing? I think this is the third anniversary of starting this. Jessica and I started this the first Saturday of 2022, and here we are 3 years later. So it's amazing. Been very fruitful for me, and I'm sure for you guys too.
Yeah, it truly has.
Yeah, I shared after that meeting 2 weeks ago with Greg and Anthony, and we were talking about the power of choice, and just hearing everyone sharing was really quite inspiring for me, and it just had a major shift for myself to look at what I'm choosing, why I'm choosing it, and made a shift, and really noticed a difference, over the last 2 weeks. Yeah, so it's amazing. Anthony and I talked about the power of masterminding, or the power of community, the power of we getting together, whatever that is, and just sharing and hearing other people, how inspiring and motivational that can be.
Yeah, it's vital. I mentioned before that in Buddhism, they have this concept of the three jewels, right? So basically, there's the teacher, there's the teachings, and there's the community. And so that's what we've got. We have my stuff and any other stuff that you guys want to bring in, and certain methodology, certain practices that we do, i.e., visualizing, working in the workbook, and then sharing. And without the sharing, um, you're most likely to either forget about it or to do it only intermittently and not really get much benefit from it. But when you get to the place where you're doing a simple little thing every day, you know, um, it just compounds. So that's my
That
main message that I'm going to be talking about when I do my little talk on the 22nd, which is what, 3 weeks, more or less 3 weeks from now, right? 2.5 weeks.
Yeah,
So, Greg, how are you
that's
doing?
great.
You weren't here
Good.
last week.
Yeah, it's been a busy season. We've got kids back from school and, vacations and different things going on. So it's been great. Feel very fortunate to have the family together and doing things. Sometimes the schedules get a little more complex because you're trying to fit everybody in and figure what they're doing. Everybody's got to vote. So it's a little more complex than when I, can control it all. But it was nice to it was really nice the last meeting we got together. You were all there, and that I was with you, and it was nice to see Michael responded to it. Naomi was there and added in some energy with her being there, and it was a reminder of the group. I'm reading an Audible book, The Fellowship of the Ring, which is an old Tolkien book, and I was kind of noticing the analogy that they were, he's not alone. It's not just a hero story. It's a group of people that were, doing this to encourage the hero to be successful, and he gets off path at different times and loses motivation and gets disheartened, and then he picks up, and they kind of encourage each of them, bring a different element and some drama to the whole thing. But it's interesting to hear you talk about the community and how it, by having us here, it reminds us of what we know, or what we've discovered here. So what are we still doing after all this time? I mean, haven't we jumped the shark yet, kind of thing. But I feel like, there's new things that we discover by talking to each other with what's going on in our daily life. And it's a practice, right? I feel like truly like a discipline or a disciple of something that we're trying to do. We're trying to build neuroplasticity. We're trying to build state management on consistency towards our goals and change some of our choices and feel more effective in terms of what we're doing. So that's exciting because I mean, I feel like everybody's got something to bring to the table. I mean, you guys all have great careers, and look at Naomi. She's in analytics her whole life, data analytics. I mean, she's very aware of what's going on and brings some new concepts to the table. So I think we each have, Michael in acting and Anthony and as an author. Yeah, I think everybody's got some an actor and a speaker for Michael. I think everybody's got something to bring to the table, and you end up with a better collective idea. And I think it, allows us to go through our weeks with a little bit of, kind of a touch point. So it's exciting. I mean, I can go back and listen to an audio tape or of a past session, and maybe that brings something to mind. But again, we're choosing to stay in good neighborhoods. Like we said, it's a good neighborhood. I can turn on and it's nice that he put it on YouTube, but we have access to, great thinkers. And I think years ago, this was not possible. The technology provides some real opportunity to grab it midweek and listen to it or grab his book. Anyways, I think we make recommendations to each other of other books too as well. But so that's exciting.
Yeah, well, it says, and we've all read this before, where two or more are gathered, there's some kind of a magic that happens, right? It talks about this in the Bible, talks about it, Think and Grow Rich, the mastermind principle, right? And that's absolutely true because, where like minds get together and they talk about a topic that they're interested in, and what happens is their minds kind of overlap and they create this like a Venn diagram. That's how I look at it. There's you and then there's me and then they overlap, and in that middle there's a sort of a third mind that's created, that's a combination of the two of us, or in this case the four of us, right? So when you come together, you actually get stimulated in a way that you don't do when you're on your own. Because when you think about something, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're doing it alone, you end up in a rut, literally a rut, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of neuroplasticity, what they've shown is that it takes daily application to make a change. You do something for 3 days and then stop, and then go for another couple of days and then stop, go for another couple of days and stop, and neuroplasticity doesn't happen.
I was looking at the definition of the word forget, and forget says definition is to fail to remember. And we were talking about remember, is to reassemble. I think of always kind of Frankenstein when he built the arms and the legs, and he pieces the guy together. I said I'm a self-made man, right? It always makes me laugh. I was an old Herman cartoon. He's a self-made man. He's got all these parts and pieces, but kind of a jumble. But when we remember our past and we remember the positives and we kind of plan forward, and that's where we want to stay, I think. But it's easy to forget what our goal was, because we get buffeted during the week or during the other people's ideas, other concepts we read about, and I think it's nice to have a team to aid to that neuroplasticity, because we're trying to have a repetition is the mother of learning, right? So repetition, repetition, repetition. Well, we want to be repeating the thought process that are the positive ones, and I think if we get off track, our friends can remind us and say, hey, what are you stinking thinking? You're not in the right place. I mean, and people make us better self-aware because they remind us, hey, what about your goal? Weren't you talking about a goal last week? I mean, 6 weeks ago, didn't you have a goal, or didn't you wanted more? They challenge you. You wanted to feel good, right? Are you feeling good? Or you wanted to accomplish this? So you remember the train track? Let me do a little video for you, or whatever. Are you reading something positive? But I think that's important for the concept of neuroplasticity. I was just talking to my son about this recently. We were talking, and I was in a session with him on something, and the guy said, they were talking about neuroplasticity, and they said, what is it that neurons that wire together, fire together, or whatever it is. I'm not saying that right, but
neurons that fire together, wire together.
Right. And so we were talking about that, and he was aware of it. I was like, wow, he's 17 years old and he's aware of this concept. And I was talking about the biological change that happens. And we're not just talking, it reminds you, but that pathway, he, works out and stuff like that. And so we were talking about you have that pathway that's very strong around this health idea, staying healthy and stuff like that. Now we want to build on other pathways that are strong so that you're building capacity and capability to have other good areas of your life. And so I think we're saying that we want our brains to be wired differently than when I was 21. When I was 25, I was embittered or kind of mad at society because things weren't just easily falling into my lap. I don't want to be that person. I think I've changed, but anyway, getting back onto that. But I just thought the interesting the idea of forgetting. I was like, what is forgetting? Yeah, forgetting is to be inconsistent, right? Because you fail to remember where you were setting out to.
Well, think about the word remind.
Yeah.
What's that? Remind.
Yeah.
It's like thinking about it again, kind of thing. Remind, right?
Yeah.
Put it back in your mind.
I think what you said too, Greg, about accountability, I think that's to hold myself accountable. But when you're in a group or community, hopefully there's a trusting relationship there. So if you notice something and you said, hey, you asked the question, receiving it, not that I'm being judged or criticizing it, you're just asking a question, you had a goal 6 weeks ago, are you still maintaining that? And I think that's important in the dynamics of a group. I mean, that's why we're together. As a team. So I think it helps that, sometimes you forget, but then when you're in a group, someone just reminds you or asks the question. Oh, okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
think that trust is important. Can be in a relationship, same thing.
Well, I think
When
question
we,
is a good thing. I was asking a boss about a question this week. I said, what do I say to this customer? And he's got about a little bit more than me in terms of years, but he gave me some good ideas. Sorry,
Naomi, you
Naomi,
were going to say
I
something?
interrupted you.
oh, yeah, no. When we started this, I didn't realize this whole thing is like an onion, and there's always a next layer, then the next layer, and then the next layer. And it's just been a journey that I don't see an end. Not that we have to go for 20 years on Saturday mornings, but still for 20 years more, we're still going to be learning stuff. That's what is amazing to me. There's no stop to this.
Right.
It just gets better.
That's exactly right. Yeah, the thing that I use the example of like a golfer, right? I mean, a golfer has a very simple process. He hits 500 golf balls a day. And if you do that, 15, 20 years later, you're making millions of dollars, you're super successful. So you're right, there's no end to it. And so the idea, speaking about words, journey comes from the French word for day, right? Jour, same as the word journal, journalist, journalism. The reason it's called a journal is because it's published every day. At least it, used to be. So this idea of doing something simple every day as a kind of a path, you're on a journey. To me, that's a really profound idea, and it's a simple idea. The word Tao, Taoism, for example, in Chinese, Tao means path, right? It literally means way. Like a street is a path or a way, So once you're on the path, then you stay on the path, right? You just continue. Of course, you can augment the path. You can stay on the path and add, bring more things to it. But basically, the idea of having a simple process that you repeat every day, that's the answer. I wrote something down this morning. People say there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. That's neuroplasticity. Read your past successes list. You feel happier today. Do that tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Pretty soon, your life is happier. So yeah, it's simple, but not necessarily easy as we've all found out, right?
Well, I mean, you look at, I know one of the things when you walk through the forest or you walk through a wooded area, there's a path. that the path is where many people have walked, right? It's a lot easier to go, it's much quicker to go through. You can walk through the brush if you want to, but it's going to be slow going, right? And I think of the word practice. You say a doctor has a practice or he's a practitioner, right? And I think that's kind of the same thing. It's like it doesn't end. I mean, the guys at my gym are still at the gym. This group meets. I mean, some of these guys are 70 and 80 years old, and they're doing bench presses with 90 pounds in each hand. And they say, well, you can't build muscle after 50, like, BS. I mean, these guys are, they're lifting a ton of weight. These guys could lift a car, some of these guys. I mean, they're really defying the way of growing older because they have a practice of doing that. But, they kind of lead each other, and you end up with leaders in that group sometimes, and they'll say, you're off. You're not lifting the right way. You're going to hurt yourself, lift differently, or, they've been doing it. So, well, how do you know that? Well, I've been doing it for 32 years. Guys have been lifting weights. Some of these guys, so it's, yeah, I think it's smart to follow, the tribe kind of thing, to pick your tribe, whether it's, the 10 or 12 step is common out there where there's a lot of people banded together to solve various problems, a mastermind group. Or I look at some of the greats. They've had people that are great writers, have been in writers clubs and writers luncheons and book reading clubs and all this stuff. There's a reason they gathered together to get encouragement. And I know early on I always said get a mentor. When I was young in my career, I said, I wish I had a mentor. And I could never really. I mean, I had bosses that were helpful, but they weren't really mentors. Many of them formally. I was always looking for the mastermind group. And I think it's more available today than ever. I mean, I think that there's, people that are willing to do it, and there's people that go it alone, and it's just pretty lonely out there, too.
Not only lonely, but you can easily get lost, right? You're talking about going through the woods. I'm not sure if you've ever walked in the woods and got lost.
Yeah, I have.
And
I walked in a cornfield and got lost.
Yeah, exactly. And it can happen like, just almost instantly, right? You think you know where you're going, and then all of a sudden you realize, hey, wait a second, I'm walking in circles here, right? Yeah, so this is why I advise you guys, get a partner, get a buddy, because it takes things to a whole different level when you are the one who is facilitating the meetings, right? I mean, it gives me a huge amount of satisfaction that you guys show up every week, right?
Yeah.
Or most weeks, at least, it means a lot to me. But think of my motivation for showing up. I have a whole different level of motivation, right? Because I'm the one that invited you to be here. So if I don't come and you contact me and say, hey, wait a second, you said you were going to be here for this meeting. I showed up and you weren't here. How am I going to feel, So that's why I say get a buddy, get a little buddy and one or two people and just meet, once a week, get in a coffee shop or go online. I mean, we're all in different cities, right? Greg's in California, South Dakota for Naomi, Michael's in Vancouver. I'm here in Victoria, right? And yet here we are. We all come together in this online space. So that's an amazing.
That's interesting you say that, Anthony, because
thing, right?
One of the things I've wondered how to get that started, and I'm just thinking about it. I see it sometimes with customers. I used to do breakfasts with my candidates when I was in recruiting. I would say, I meet at 8:00, and Saturday I'll meet you in the city of Orange. I said, let's go have a cup of coffee. And I said, it's called Breakfast with Greg. And I would go, and if you go 50 times during the year, you met 50 people. Well, when an employer called me up and was looking for someone to hire, I said, well, I've been,
Breakfast
I've
of
met.
Champions. Breakfast of Champions. That just came to me. I don't know where that thought came from, but
Well, I was thinking about that. I mean, because I did it because everybody's available at 8:00 on a Saturday, right? There wasn't, family. Well, I got family. Well, are they up at 8? No, they're not up at 8, right? They're going to be up at 9 or 10 or something like that. Soccer game at 8? No, it's not at 8. It might be at 9 or 10. So I kind of picked an early time, 8:00 in the morning, Saturday or Sunday, whatever. But you know, and I didn't always have it, but I guess the point is I pegged it as a time that made sense for me to meet with people. And I'm thinking about it now. I mean, if you pick a time and you say that's when I meet with people every week, I mean, even if there's nobody there, you're there reading a book and you're waiting for someone to walk in the door, right? Kind of thing. And
Exactly.
you know, before you know it, during your week, you're talking to someone and says, "Well, I meet on Saturdays at 8 to talk about, you know, this book I read, and we have a book club, da da da." Well, you know, where is anybody? The guy walks in, it's just me and you, buddy. That's the meeting, you know, or me and, you know, me and you. Anthony didn't show up today, and you guys could certainly come to it as well. But I mean, I could have some guest speakers or guest people that join it, but it's kind of leadership. So you pick a time, you pick a place, you go there, and during the week, you're probably more likely to invite someone than if you didn't have a time. So I'm just envisioning how to get this started. I'm saying, you know, you pick a time and a place and you say, I'm having my meeting, and, you know, Naomi can join me if she wants in the first week, or Michael can, you know, so I'm not totally alone. But you kind of seed it and get it going. But it's about leadership, right? If you want to lead, or be, you don't have to be formally the leader. I mean, you can head in the direction. Like I lead my family. You know, don't do it autocratically, but you know, you're certainly a leader of that group, or you could be a leader in your own family, extended family, if you got cousins and brothers and sisters. You know, we're going to do a reunion, but we're all used to being leaders or at work, and I think sometimes it's just a position you bestow with an attitude. You know, I'm going that way. You know, I'm going to head in that direction, and you're welcome to follow. You're welcome to come along with me. Two of us can walk down the road. I mean, so if you want to, you know, a walking group, I thought, well, I should probably be starting older guys that want to lose weight walking group, you know, and we meet
Yeah,
on there
absolutely.
every
Why not?
Thursday night at 8 o'clock, and we, you know, we walk the neighborhood. Well, before you know it, do you have five guys walking? I mean, and then they become a friendship, and that's the walking group that you've had for 20 years or something like that down the road. But just a thought about how to do this or how to get it started, because I know you've said it many times, and I've been trying to figure out, you know, what is the elixir? Do I do advertising? Do I call people? I mean, how do I get this thing started? I mean, you went on Coast, and I heard you speak about your book, and I liked what I heard. Joined Jessica, but just thinking of a way to get it going out loud, I
Well,
guess.
what I would suggest is, you know, think of who do you know that is most likely to be interested in reading my book and using this workbook. And you'll think of somebody right off the bat, you know, and just say to them, hey, do you want, I got this great book that I came across, and I'm putting together, you know, a little meeting for people that want to improve their life, get on the path of happiness and success. Are you interested? If he says no, fine. You know, if he says yes, okay, well, let's get together in such and such a coffee shop, you know, 10 o'clock. When I first joined this men's group in Vancouver years ago, this was 1988. And that group in a different format is still going. You know, we meet every 2 weeks online, but some of those people are the same people I first met in 1988. And so one of the things that we do is we show up. You know, if there's a meeting, we show up. And if we say we're going to show up, then we show up. That's it. And I've had, you know, I've had the experience of being with some of these guys, and they'll say, okay, well, let's get together. You know, we're going to have a meeting at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning, right? And somebody will say, well, I can't be there. You know, something's come up. I got a, you know, a wedding that is coming up and I have to be there for the rehearsal. Okay, well, let's meet at 6 o'clock Saturday morning or 5 o'clock, you know. And I've had the experience of meeting on Kitsilano Beach with this group of people at 4 o'clock in the morning, because that's the only time everybody was available.
Made it work, huh?
And the energy is totally different when you do something like that. You know, it's 4 o'clock in the morning and here you are, the sun's just coming up. You're down on the beach all by yourself, and maybe, you know, your 5 or 6 buddies on your men's group. And you know, everybody's there. Everybody shows up. And it's powerful, you know. I mean, Woody Allen said 80% of life is showing up. Just show up.
Yeah. Hey, make a
So,
commitment.
yeah.
That's
So one of the things that came to me this morning when I was thinking about this meeting, and not just this meeting, but this talk I'm giving in a couple of weeks. Woody Allen, who's one of the most prolific filmmakers in the history of cinema, his routine is he writes 2 pages a day. That's it. That's his goal, 2 pages a day. He says, if I write 2 pages a day, I have a screenplay in 3 months. And then I put together the financing and then I hire the crew. Well, he uses the same crew all the time, usually. And, then I cast it, I get people involved, and then we shoot it, and then we edit it, and then it's done. And so he says, that gives me a movie a year if I write 2 pages a day. And Stephen King, same thing. He says, I write 5 pages a day, every day, So this idea of doing something every day, right? As I say, the French word for day is jour, right? So journey comes from that word, every day. And you mentioned a little while ago, Greg, the idea of the 12-step groups, and one of their foundation principles is you live one day at a time. So that's it, I do 2 pages a day. Did I do my 2 pages? No? Okay, well, I'll do it tomorrow then, You get into that routine, visualize your day in the morning, work a minute or two in your binder, review your day in the evening, preview your tomorrow. That's it. That doesn't take long. It takes just a few minutes. But if you do that routine every day, then you're on the path.
I started my routine, well, January 4th now, so it's my 4th day in having writing down 2 columns. One is self-discovery, and on the right-hand side are action items to either fix something that I discovered that I shouldn't be doing, or the action items that I actually did do right that I want to reinforce and keep doing.
Right.
And that's so far has really helped me. And again, with the foundation, what your philosophy, what your book and all these conversations, I mean, on the right hand is, writing down what I want to keep doing or what I did right. That's the past successes list. And the self-discovery is just analyzing, being real of, now, why did I do that? Or why did I eat that when I wasn't hungry? Or just different things.
Why did I say that to that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. I mean, if you continue to do that, and I assume you will, that's about as simple a process as it is. What did I do right today? What did I do wrong today? And what can I do tomorrow to, encourage and build on what I did right, and then to chip away at what I don't like and shift it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's brilliant. Kudos to you, Naomi.
Well, it's interesting you say that because there's, I was thinking one of the themes I had for this year was small changes. I wanted to make small incremental changes this year.
Baby steps. That's the thing. That's right.
Yeah, rather than big moves. But it's interesting when you say that what you wanted to change, it makes me think of the opposite. And I think there was George Costanza had a funny one, do the opposite. And he would always do the opposite and he would have great results because of his natural inclination. But then it kind of implies that there's the opposite to everything. I think sometimes we just do what we're doing. We don't think about what would be the opposite. The opposite of talking is not to talk, or maybe it's to ask a question. Or
don't forget that was a TV show. It's a comedy show.
Yeah, it was a comedy show.
Not to say that it wasn't a funny show and it was a
idea.
I love the show like everybody else, but it isn't necessarily true that if you just do the opposite, it'll work out. But
but there's, as you said in your book, there's no difference. There is no difference between the character and the reality, right? In some ways.
The idea behind it, at least this is what it makes me think of, is being willing to shift, you know. Well, if this isn't working, then I'll do that, right?
Well, and I think that the idea that there is an opposite to every action means that we're deciding. A lot of times it's a habit. We just do it out of habit. Habit means you don't think about something, you just do it. And usually that protects us. But sometimes it takes us in the wrong direction too.
Well, one of the things I would say is there's not two directions, there's an uncountable number of directions. In other words, it isn't just, okay, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, but what is it maybe that combines the two? Or is there some other way you could shift it? You know, do the same thing, but do it with a different attitude, right? You're not exactly doing the opposite. Like Naomi said, you're enhancing what you're doing. You know, if you're doing something right, you want to do it again. Well, how could you do it better? Right?
Use
Do
your
it with a
creativity, I
smile.
guess, to
Do
come
it
up
with a
with a new.
smile on your face. You know, that'll improve it.
Well,
It's
I was thinking of not doing certain things too, is kind of like empty space, right? Here's the full space, but here's the empty space out here. So if you don't do some of the other things, it creates space for you to do more of what you want.
yeah, the idea of not doing something, I'm not sure it's possible to not do anything. I mean, you have to do something, right? Like, for example, with me, when I was quitting smoking, I wanted to stop smoking, right? So it was like, okay, well, when I have a craving to smoke, what am I going to do? And I came up with a little plan, take 3 deep breaths, drink a glass of water. That was my plan, right? Well, of course, that took a minute or so. And as often as not, I realized, oh, okay, well, if rather than doing this, rather than doing that, I'll do this, take a deep breath and drink a glass of water. And that took a minute. And as often as not, by the time that was finished, I didn't feel like smoking anymore. I sort of got myself together and I was able to say, no, I'm not going to smoke now. So I had a different thing to do. And I did the same thing with the diet.
Yeah, I think smoking.
Talking about the eating. You remember I said, rather than just idly going to the fridge and seeing what's in there that appeals to me, eat an apple. Like, so doing something different.
Yeah.
Sorry, Greg, what?
Well, I was going to say with smoking, I think one of the things I noticed is I think smoking is just deep breathing quite often. I think that people are just
that's a part
breathing.
Of it, for sure.
If you don't smoke, but you just sit there and breathe, as long as they're, taking a 10-minute smoke break, they, sit there and breathe deeply for 10 minutes and talk to each other and stuff like that. It probably works without the cigarette, right? I mean, if you do that, you're going to find you're calmer and happier and you got friends and let's go take a 10-minute break. I mean, a lot of the qualities are there, still, it's just if you breathe deeply, I think you find you're in a better mood. You're calmer, you're happier. And I wonder if it's not kind of correlated. I mean, the fact that there's tobacco in that breath and chemicals is not necessarily the good part, but the breathing is.
Oh, I'm sure that's true. Yeah, deep breathing is powerful. I mean, let's face it, there are people that's their thing, doing deep breathing every day.
Right. Well, I mean, I wonder if they just decided to tack something on they could sell along with it, right? I mean, I guess it was, you think about it, you say, well, breathing makes people happy. So you say, well, let me sell you a cigarette. And now you're doing it. And they say, aren't you happier? You say, yes, I am. They say, well, great. Give me $3. I mean,
$3 is $20 now.
Yeah, $20 now. I don't know what the cost of the cigarettes is, but it's anyway, it's just kind of an interesting observation about, we're talking about empty space, that it's, you can breathe deeply and probably get the benefits of what smoking gives you.
Well, the other thing, I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can. The other thing that we tend to forget is the neurochemicals, right, that are stimulated. And so, for example, if you, like when I was quitting smoking, right, because I had a little routine there, I had a glass of water, took a few deep breaths, and that made me feel good. Well, now I realize probably I was giving myself a shot of dopamine without realizing it, because I had a little goal and I achieved the goal and I avoided the cigarette. And my routine of drinking a glass of water and taking 5 deep breaths, it worked. So that's the other side of it, right? That by doing certain things, i.e., following your routine that's purposeful and following those steps, that stimulates these positive neurochemicals which make you feel good. And that's powerful.
Well, I know when I quit smoking, I quit chewing tobacco because I was a young guy, I did that. But I had a heck of a time quitting. At the time, I was about 35 when I did it. But I made a list of all the things I was going to do the day I quit. And I had cut down and I had marked how often I was, using chewing tobacco and things like with a timer. I put it on the back of the can. I would put a dial, a radio dial like a clock, and I marked how many times I did it. And I was trying to cut it down and I picked a date and I did those things. But I got so much done in that day. I mean, I got tons done. I mean, I did 25 things on my list, and the next day I did 17, and then I did 16, and the cravings went down. I was also marking the cravings. And so the cravings I could see went down day over day over day. And it gave me, I was heartened by that because the first day I had like 80 cravings. The second day I could see I had 40 cravings. The third day I could see I had 10. Well, by the time I got to 10, I said, I'm not going to start again because I had to fight through all those cravings, to not do it. But I was also getting a lot done. So you talk about, deep breathing or doing those other things that you're doing. But I was getting a long list of things done that made me feel pretty good about what I was
Absolutely. Yeah,
doing. I mean, the
right.
house was clean, the records, I think at the time I had CDs or records, and they were all organized alphabetically, and the car was clean, and cleaned the couch,
Is that on
emptied the
your past
dishwasher.
successes list?
It is on there on the
Oh, good.
smoking, but
Okay. I was
not
going to
the
say
things.
that's a
Yeah,
powerful thing, right?
yeah. I mean, that's a pretty. I felt like once I could do that, I could do anything.
Right.
That was a tough thing to do. There was a lot of um, caffeine there. There was many years of doing that habit habitually. You just do it and don't think about it. I think when you take a habit, you slow it down and say a habit is something you don't make a decision, you just do automatically. And if you take a habit and you say, well, now think about it every time you do it. That's why marking it down so you become aware and you say, hey, I'm doing it.
Yeah, well, ultimately,
I'm
that's the
making a
idea
choice to
behind
do
the,
it. I'm making a choice to.
having a routine that you do every day, right?
Yeah.
Is to make it a habit. So then when it becomes a habit, then it's unconscious. It looks after you, John Kehoe used to say, first you form your habits and then your habits form you. That's
Yeah, I
a
believe it.
profound idea.
Well, that's the power of changing habits or creating habits, right? You create a habit of running every day or working out every day or eating less, and you start to build the man, or build the woman in that case, Toby. But I mean, I think you try to build who you want to be, right? That's the pathway. Which I saw, I didn't follow all the things. I saw you sent a second video around there too. I don't know if that was an abridgment of that, but I got to watch it.
Oh, I can't remember
Part
something.
two, part two. I think it was part two of the train
Oh, I
video.
see. Yeah, from last week. Last week, I
Yeah,
think, or the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
yeah, that was pretty neat. But
It just
yeah, so
occurred
I'm
to me.
working on it.
It just occurred to me as you were talking there. This idea of a path is great. However, it just occurred to me that the path might be a tightrope. In other words, it's easy to fall off, right? You can be on the path for a while and be doing great. I've had this experience. I'm sure we all have. You're doing something great and you're so proud of yourself and you're getting all kinds of things done and everything else. And then all of a sudden you realize, geez, I haven't done that for 3 months. I stopped doing that, right? So yeah, maybe the path is slippery. Maybe that's a good way to think about it.
Well, I do think you have to watch when you do things that are in conflict with each other, or if you add new items too. Sometimes you could have a habit fall off the back end of the conveyor, right? I mean,
Right.
you know.
It's good to have I think I'm going to add a page to the journal, to the workbook. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I mean, I don't know why I haven't done it yet, but I think I'll do that. And that is just simply a list of like 30 little boxes or 30 little lines, you know, with a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 31, right? Because Naomi, you were talking about your little routine that you've established there for the last 4 days, right? Well, if you had a little calendar or a little list, and that's why I say put it in the workbook, you know, have a little thing. You just go, okay, I did it today, tick, right? And then I do it tomorrow, tick. Because not only does that encourage you to continue to do it, but I've had the experience of doing that and then realizing, hey, I hadn't put any ticks here for the last 10 days. What's going on, right? And you realize, oh, I forgot. I forgot about it, right?
Yeah. I mean, oh, habit trackers are pretty popular. I mean, I don't know if you use Excel at all, but Excel has some habit trackers that are pretty effective.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of the Excel one.
Yeah, you can go on and Google it, and you go through and you check them off, and as you check them, you can actually see the whole year. I mean, and they go to dashboard. So you get January, and you're clicking number 2, number 3. You label them down the side, and you're clicking them, but then they can go to a dashboard where you look at the year, and now you see a thing that's a summary.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it's pretty effective, I think, for teams, and particularly for a leader. You'd see
Yeah,
the
if
whole
you're
team.
sharing, for sure, if you're sharing information or something. I mean, I have links on my phone to different websites and some videos and things like that I like to listen to. My meditations I have on my phone so that I can easily access them, right? If I'm sitting in traffic, you know, or I'm waiting for somebody for 10 minutes, sometimes I'll think, oh, okay, I can do a meditation here. I'll turn on my, feeling proud in the rain meditation, right? And I'll listen to that for 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's gotten a little crazy. I've been studying a little bit on AI. I don't know if you guys have seen much on AI, but it's become
Oh, I
quite
sent you a
popular.
link, by the way. I sent you an
Okay.
email yesterday, I think, which was an AI
Oh yeah, I did see that.
thing.
I have not read it yet, but let's see, that was on my list here. But
Yeah, the
yeah, it's
thing
got,
that I started looking at AI too, and I've done, well, you've seen some of my pictures, right? I sent you some covers that I got AI to
Mhm.
design for me of my book, right? And
That was cool.
they were pretty cool. But what I'm starting to understand, I think, and maybe you can tell me if I'm on the right track or not, Greg. It all comes down to what prompts you put in.
yeah. I mean, it matters how it's programmed, and I think it matters how you ask it. There's ways to ask it correctly and incorrectly.
Yeah, so
Um,
this link that I sent you was an email I got from this lady, and she has a little sort of a program that she has been using AI. And
uh,
what it is a bunch of prompts, as far as I can tell. And that seems to be the key. It's what you tell AI to do, which of course makes sense, right? And I
yeah,
experienced that when I was designing this, playing with the book cover, right? I'd say, design a book that looks like this and has this title. And then it would design the book, and I'd realize, oh, wait a second, okay, it's doing exactly what I told it to do, but it's not what I was thinking of. So then I have to say, okay, take that book and then change it a little bit in this way. And you might
yeah.
have to do it 5 or 6 times before you finally get something that you want.
Well, it reminds me of a genie, or it reminds me of the three wishes. You got to be careful what you ask for because you'll get exactly what you ask for, type of thing.
Mhm.
And it can be a little dangerous too. I mean, that it's, you really have to, it's quite literal, So I think you have to think of what you're not asking a little bit too, because it'll give you what you want, but that might not be what you need or what you really want. And
Exactly.
so you have to sometimes think about, what do you really want? Are you asking for a daily journal, or are you asking, can you think of a better way that I would follow my habits? To
Have you read the story? I'm sure you have, but at least I assume you have. It's called The Monkey's Paw.
I don't
I
think I
remember
have.
reading that. I think well, I think I read it in high school, grade 10 or something, you know. But I came across it recently and I read it again, and it's like it's brilliant. I mean, it's exactly this, right? It's
Uh-huh.
kind of like it's kind of like the expression "be careful what you wish for," because you're going to get it, you know. And if you don't phrase it correctly, you're going to get something that you didn't want.
I'll have to read that. I see here the monkey's paw. I know, it reminds me of like
It's
even
a
your book
short
has.
it's a short story, but it's really interesting.
Uh, let's see. I know that your book has the picture of the magic carpet, and I used to sit on the carpet with my daughter when she was little, and and Disney shows would come on, and we would dream sitting on the carpet, and it was kind of cute, but it was funny when I saw your book and it had a magic carpet. And I thought, well, what's this magic carpet on your book? And it's that Aladdin, or the story of Aladdin back in the day, was that he had a magic carpet. Well, I thought, what's the magic carpet in the story of Aladdin? And I'm not sure if it's accurate or not, but I think he was probably meditating. Was it
That's
the
exactly what I realized one day. You know, I was doing the meditation and I ended up in some other place.
Yeah,
It was like a dream, but it was so vivid. And then I kind of woke up and I went, wow, you know. And that's what I realized. It's the magic carpet. I mean, if you're kneeling on a carpet and you're praying, what are you doing? You know, you're going into a kind of a trance, right? So that
yeah.
bit of insight, and I'm sure it's true. I mean, I feel that it's true. I've never heard anybody else mention it, but to me, that's the magic carpet. It's like visualization, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, you visualize enough, and your life becomes that, right? So, the Mahirasha or whatever, that Mahirasha or whatever the name is here, but the king and
Maharishi.
that, yeah, Maharishi, sat down on the carpet. He kneels down. They, in Hindu religion, they, look to Mecca, and they basically pray, and they envision what the ideal life is, right? To be holy, um, and they end up pursuing that. Um,
I read something profound this morning, and at least I listened to it. It was online. And I think I sent you a link to it a month or so ago. I listened to it about a month ago and it blew my mind. And so I listened to it again. And the first chapter of this book, it's only a few pages. I mean, you can listen to the thing in a couple minutes. And it's called Awakened Imagination by Neville Goddard.
hmm.
And it blew my mind, you know. And even though I heard it before, but it didn't stick, right? And what he says in there is that the imagination is God within. It's the Christ. That what Christ is, when you read you read the scriptures in with a certain mindset, you realize that Christ is your imagination, that it can perform miracles, right? Now we personify it and say, well, it's a person. But he says in here that it's not necessarily a person. What it is your ability to use your imagination to create what you want. And that blew my mind because I hadn't ever thought of it before. Except, like I said, I read this thing about a month ago, or I listened to it first time about a month ago, and it probably affected me the same way, but I forgot about it. So I listened to it again this morning, and I thought, wow, you know, that is heavy duty, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Christ talks about whether or not you have the faith of a mustard seed, you could move a mountain. But your mustard seed's very small. It's a little
But think of what I
pin.
said. It's not a person; it's an ability, right? It's you because God creates. That's the idea, right? And as the Son of God is in you because it's the imagination that's in you. That's the part of God that's in you that you can use. That's intense. At least to me, it was intense, you know, after, you know, being gone through the whole, you know, the Christian thing for, you know, so many years as a child. Um, I never came across anything like that.
Yeah.
And when I got into New Thought, like Unity Church and these New Thought churches, and part of the legacy of those New Thought churches, by the way, are people like As a Man Thinketh, you know, and Think and Grow Rich, and The Magic of Becoming Rich, or The Magic of Getting Rich, which is a book I've talked about, by Wallace Wattles. What they say in there is that the creative energy of the universe flows through you, and that's what your imagination is. And this resonates with me, because this is what I talk about. You visualize it, you decide, you see it. When I went to England last year, that's exactly what I was demonstrating, or at least not last year, but 2023. Funny how time flies. That's what I was talking about, right? Have the image, see yourself in England giving a talk. How can you manifest that? And then creating that, right? So this idea that the imagination is powerful, that it's the sort of creative energy of God, if we can use that term, flowing through you, that's an idea that's been in my mind, for a long time. As a matter of fact, there's a chapter in my book. It's called The Mind as Creator, right? But I hadn't recognized before, or at least I hadn't noticed, that that's what Christ means. And that blew my mind, that Christ is the ability to create. It's like the Son of God is your imagination. Like, whoa, wait a second, let me, think about that. So that blew my mind. So I'd recommend you think about that and see if it affects you that way too.
Yeah. I think there's I was reading a couple months ago, there's a lot of religious writers, I guess would be, if you get real deep into the religious part of it with Christ, he refers to himself as Son of God or Son of Man. There's different terminology there that indicates he was saying something different. He was saying that, we all are sons of God, and there's some things that's kind of deep around that, as he's hearkening. Some would say he's hearkening us all to draw upon that
Yeah.
concept that you're talking about there, and that we all have the ability to do that. So I mean, it's pretty deep stuff when you say that we are made in God's image. The image is that soul, or that identity, or that ability to dream and create.
Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite quotes is, or one of my favorite lines is, the kingdom of God is spread about the earth, but people don't see it.
Right.
Well, to me, that makes me think of, like, every building you look at came out of somebody's imagination, but we don't think of it that way.
Right.
Somebody created that, first of all, in their imagination, and then, the building got built. So,
well, I mean, you could also say
it all
that,
comes down to focus. Like, how are you focusing on it? What are you thinking about? What's your mindset? If you have that mindset that you're a creator, and the creative aspect of your personality is your imagination, it makes sense that people would talk about that, and that word would spread, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know we brought up before that heaven on earth, right? The idea of bliss
Right.
here on earth, or being a blissful state. But you can also create hell on earth. You can.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You see people in tremendous suffering, and they've created it through their mind. They're trapped, and some people are crazy, literally crazy. They drive themselves crazy, where they're living in this awful entity they can't even escape from. And some say that's lack of God, or whether not being connected to God, not being connected to your godliness, that we're talking
Well, the
about here.
idea that we have 50,000 thoughts a day. How many of them are you conscious of? Not very many.
Yeah, right.
Not very many. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's a
we
few.
have thousands of heartbeats. If you figure out, take a computer, or take a calculator, or a piece of paper, piece of pen, and piece of paper and a pen, figure out how many heartbeats you have every day. There's thousands, but how many are you conscious of? Hardly any, right? So it's like, if you have this ability in your mind to visualize and create, then why isn't your life perfect? Well, it's because You're not conscious of it. You're not consciously using it. You're unconsciously using it. Well, if you unconsciously use it, if you're not careful, that's hell, right? That's creating hell on earth. That's the first thing I say in my book. If you look at the introduction or the first, I think the prologue to Mind, Time, and Power, that's what I say in there. If I have so much power to create, why does my life contain so much of what I don't want? What's going on?
I like I don't know if it's a beatitude or not, but knock and the door shall be open, seek and you shall find. Well, knock,
Right.
I mean, you have to know where to knock. You have to look for where to knock. I mean, it's not just, I mean, you have to be purposeful in that action.
Right.
And so that's all about thinking about things, getting ideas. And, seek and you shall find. Well, you've got to be looking for that. You will find it. It'll come to fruition.
Right. There's the guys that wrote the series of books. I mean, the most successful series of books in history, as far as I know. They sold, 500 million copies. Is Canfield, Jack, I think, is it Jack Canfield? No, you know what I'm thinking of?
That's correct. Yeah. Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Chicken Soup for the Soul, yeah. Well, they wrote another book called Ask.
Oh,
Basically, it's ask and you shall receive, And that's exactly what they say in there, Naomi. It's like you ask and you receive. But you have to ask the right person. You have to ask in the right way. You have to ask repeatedly. You have to ask with the right tone, those kind of things. So it's exactly like you said with knocking, Just because it says knock and you shall receive doesn't mean if you knock on a door, somebody's going to feed you, You have to knock on the right door in the right way at the right time with the right attitude, and then somebody will feed you, right? Yeah, so that's exactly right. It's getting back to Neville Goddard again in the imagination. It's like you visualize what you want, you see your goal, like Napoleon Hill says, but it's got to be clear, it's got to be the right goal, it's got to be, you have to think about it in the right way. So it's, again, the idea, it's a simple process, but it's not necessarily easy. As a matter of fact, I'll in my experience, it's not easy to implement it. Gee, we're getting pretty heavy duty. We're getting pretty profound. I don't know what's going on.
Getting pretty deep. Getting pretty deep. Sorry. I have it's made complex and I have something going off in my office. I think my son is connected to one of the televisions, so it's blasting connected. So I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted trying to figure out what he's got.
I can't hear anything, so it's fine. Maybe
I've got you on mute.
Maybe your microphone isn't picking it up.
Yeah, but I disconnected the one device here, but I think it's a television. Smart TV is connecting us. But maybe a little too smart, but
well, Michael, you have any you have any comments there?
I was just listening to what you're sharing, and you're talking about the imagination and God, and that for me it's like when I'm in the power of now, how am I feeling in just in the power of now, that's when I feel I'm connected with spirit. And I just remember when I was doing Advaita, which is non-dualism, is that when the seeker realizes that who they're seeking is the seeker themselves. It just brings it back to me. Who am I? In that sense. And when I'm connected to the power of now, that's when I find that there's the perfection. And that's when I find the imagination. Maybe the imagination is the power of now. Just being in that moment.
Well, this is the thing that I realize.
We tend not to stay there, or I tend not to. You're out. When you start thinking, then you're out of the now.
Exactly. Well, this is the thing that I realized in 1980 that blew my mind, which is that the imagination is a connection, right? So if I've got a past successes list, working at the Banff Springs Golf Course. I got a job at the Banff Springs Golf Course one summer. That's on my past successes list. Well, when I think about that, I use my imagination. I go back there. I remember getting that job. I remember what it was like. I feel proud. I feel lucky. I feel happy. Well, to me, that's now, right? Like I'm feeling it now. But that was in 1968. That was a long time ago. But the energy is now. So that's intense. That's powerful. I mean, that's got to be one of the most profound realizations that I have ever learned. That when you think a certain thought, the energy comes through. Think about somebody who loves you, you feel loved. Think about something you did successfully, you feel successful. Think about a person that you've helped who was, grateful to you. You feel like somebody's thanking you,
For sure.
Thank you.
I'm listening. I'm listening to you. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So it's funny, I mean, here we are, I mean, I'm thinking, what if somebody comes across this, idly scrolling, if I put this on YouTube, what if somebody idly scrolling comes across this, what are they going to think, right? Hopefully they'll be impressed, saying, hey, wow, who are these people? Are there more of these? Or do they do this every week? How do I get some of this,
Yeah, it's pretty far down the rabbit hole, but at least for me, I mean, these are the deepest
rabbit hole
deepest
or
music.
wormhole? Ooh,
Wormhole, there you go. Yeah.
There's the question.
Yeah. Yeah, I was meditating a little bit earlier today, and I was thinking about how our world kind of spirals outwards and upwards. Our universe is spinning, but we're on a planet that's going around, and it's spinning upwards and outwards, and we're on these little planets spinning in circles around the sun, and how it goes around. We go around the Earth, around the sun one time each year. So when you say I'm this age, you've been around the sun that many times.
That's right.
It's just kind of a deep concept. And it's so weird how
I've been around 77 times, and most of those times I had my eyes closed.
Yeah, well, and you've been around it
That's what it
77
feels
times exactly. And how many times have you spun in a circle? Every 365 times 70, right? So you've gone in a circle that many times upwards and outwards away from the center of the universe, right? Which is kind of wild because the sun is moving away from the center of the universe at 144,000 miles per hour or something like that. So
Well, it
you're
spins on its axis 1,000 miles an hour.
yeah,
'Cause
but
it's
it moves
24
away from the
miles,
center
it
too.
takes
It's
24 hours
moving
to go
up.
around.
It's moving up and away, and then the Earth is going, around the sun, and we're all on this rocket ship, kind of flying around. I mean, it's pretty wild. And you'll never get back to the space that you were back at when you were born. I mean, right? It's very far away from where
That's
you
right.
were, and then you'll exit this planet and go into who
Well,
knows
here's a
where,
thought.
right?
Here's a
Right?
thought for you. You just stimulated something in me. So here I'll see if I can blow your mind again here. One of the things that Goddard says in the first chapter of this book that I mentioned, Awakened Imagination, that basically you use it to create what you want, your imagination, and you use it to forgive your sins. In other words, what you've done wrong, right, Naomi? You mentioned that a minute ago. What did I do that was good? What did I do that was bad? Okay, well, tomorrow I'll try and change the bad one, So that's a sin, right? Sin is a mistake. So you use it in the past, you go back to the past and you heal your wound. That's what I call it. You figure out what you did in the past that caused you pain and you switch it, you change it around, you look at it with different eyes and you heal it. And then all of a sudden, boom, you come back to the present. But when you come back to the present, it's not the same present. Your timeline is shifted because you have a different past now. That thing that was causing you pain doesn't cause you pain anymore. Right?
Right.
So you can go and of course this is directly from quantum physics. This is in Back to the Future, right? Back to the Future does it perfectly, right? They go into the past, and when they come back to the present's different, right? You know, Biff is not a bully. He's shining the car. You know, he's polishing the guy's car. The father's not a jerk. He's a successful writer, right? So this is Back to the Future. So when you go back into the past, you change the past, you come back to the present again. It's like a different present. Now, did I blow your mind, or did you know that already?
Yeah, pretty much.
You knew that. It was a common sense, right? Yeah.
Well, there was a really good movie I watched that was a kind of Back to the Future, but it was a little bit more complex recently. I think it was called Precedent, I want to say. Or maybe it was something like that. It was Precedent, or it was Predetermined. I mean, Predetermined, I think was the name of it. But the guy starts running into himself by going through a time loop, which is kind of wild. He changes his history, but he's changing his history, but it goes in a loop. It's really pretty mind-blowing.
I was like reading something the other day. I'm going to make a note to try and find this here. But some guy, some person,
Predetermined, that's what it was, movie.
Oh, okay. Some person put together a book. He did some research anyway. And what he was researching was how many books and stories have been told about time travel in the past, right? Like up to now, sort of thing. You know, how many books are there that contain the element of time travel in them? And what his conclusion is there's more books about time travel than any other topic. Going way back, you know, I mean, like, you know, we've read Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court. You know, that was Mark Twain wrote that one, you know, 150 years ago. And that's about a guy traveling in time, right? And of course, Doctor Who and, you know, there's so many things about time travel. And in my mind, that just confirms the fact that it's a natural part of who we are. That's what thinking is. Thinking is time traveling. That's why there's so many stories about it. That's how I see it.
This one is called Predestination with Ethan Hawke. It's worth watching. It's It's really pretty confusing. I'm not sure I still really get it. And I think it's I don't know how old that was, but Ethan Hawke is a pretty deep guy. He's kind of like a Kerouac kind of character.
Ethan Hawke is a great guy, man.
Like a thinking cow.
I'm a fan of Ethan Hawke. He's a profound person.
Yeah, he's kind of like a poet cowboy, is the way I call him. You know, like Kerouac's a good example of that. But and I just saw another one last night that he was in. I think it's this one where it's the last days or something like that. That's where
Did you see there's a series of movies he made with this French actress?
No.
Where they meet and they sort of fall in love. They have a bit of an affair and then they break up. And he doesn't see her for like 10 years or 15 years and they bump into each other again.
2 movies. It's summer before and the summer after.
Yeah, I think there might have been 3 of them even. But anyway, really well done. I mean, really profound movies, right? Ethan Hawke seems to me one of these people, and there's a few of them in Hollywood, who seem like they're just so enlightened and they just create this amazing, stuff, this art, but also he creates this amazing life for himself, right?
Yeah, he's doing it, man. If you want to talk about creating a life, it looks like the way to live. I mean,
Clint Eastwood's another one, right? I mean, he envisioned himself as a director making movies way back when he was playing Rowdy Yates on Rawhide. And look what he's done, you know? I mean, he's got this huge body of work. So a lot of these people, you know, they don't necessarily talk about God within or creating heaven on earth or anything sort of from a spiritual aspect. Maybe they think that and they don't talk about it. Maybe they talk about it with their friends. Who knows? But from a perspective of somebody who's watching them from the outside, That's the impression I get, that they're literally just creating their vision, over and over and over again. They're creating this amazing life. So this is 2025. So thanks, you guys, for showing up.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate you being here. This was pretty heavy duty. I'm going to have to watch this one a few times. Thanks for showing up. Any final thoughts from any of you guys?
Well, I got a great movie list to watch movies the next few days, so thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Yeah, exactly. Watch Ethan
Anything
Hawke.
by
I'm gonna follow-
Ethan Hawke. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, good. We'll start an Ethan Hawke fan club. We'll put him and some of
Right.
these other guys.
Right.
All right. Well, have a nice week, you guys.
Thanks.
Have a great week.
Yep,
Have
you
a great
guys too.
year. Yeah.
All
Thanks,
right.
Naomi.
Take
Mike,
care.
Yeah.
Greg.
Yep.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We would love to have you join us in this online community for $1 a day. You get your own PDF copy of the book upon which this entire training series is based, along with 2 powerful meditation visualization recordings. You also get a free copy of this Design Your Life workbook and a 4-hour video course that tells you how to use it to change your life step by step. You get lifetime access to all of this on day 1, and you can cancel your registration at any time. Just go to learntodesignyourlife.com and click the link to join the online community.